Today's video is going to be a little personal because I've had to come to terms with a lot of things over the last few years, and actually there's still things I'm coming to terms with. And I'm going to share some stuff today about myself that I've never talked about before. And for starters, I just had my 54th birthday, and as a lot of you guys know, I've been living alone for the last couple of years. Now, there's a lot that I love about living alone, but there's also a lot of things that I don't love so much about it. Really quick though, I'm John, and the whole reason that I started this channel was to help prove to older guys in this mostly ignored demographic of middle-aged men that you're never too old and it's never too late to make a change in your life or start something new, and I'm glad you're here. Okay, let me back up. A few weeks ago, I made a video about breaking out of your isolation, and in that video, I shared different things that you can do to not feel so isolated if that's something that you wanted to work on. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll link to it down below. And because I read all the comments, there were a few comments that kind of hit home for me and made me think about some of the advice that I give and why I give that type of advice. So here's one particular comment from that video, and it goes like this. Lots of times these videos are made for extroverts who must be engaged with someone or with anyone to be happy. There's a big difference between being alone and being lonely. Living without people's drama is priceless. So this one made me kind of sit back and think about myself and kind of evaluate some of the things I say and recommend in my videos. But I also realized that there's no way to offer one single piece of advice that everybody is going to latch on to or that will even work for everyone. Here's another comment from that video. Thanks, John, for the legend video. It made me want to take a deep dive into isolation versus solitude. As an introvert, I think I'm looking for solitude, but have used isolation to achieve this goal. Turns out, that's why I'm so dissatisfied with the result. You've given me an insight to reflect on, to change my situation and try a different path. Thanks. And thank you both for your comments. Now, personally, I think I straddle that line between introvert and extrovert. I think they call it an ambivert. And some of my advice comes from having that personality trait. Because for the most part, I enjoy my solitude. I mean, I work from home, and I've talked about this before where I go through these spurts where I put my head down and just produce a lot of work over the span of like 3 or 4 days so that I'm able to take a day or two off and go out and do cool things. Because at least for me, after being cooped up in the house for a little while, I feel like I need to get out. And here's where things get a little deep, because I've had to ask myself why it's so important for me to get out of the house and go do things on my own. And one of the things that I'm, I guess, coming to terms with, or at least asking myself right now is, am I always on the go and always out doing things? And partly, am I always advocating to you to go out and do things and try new things? Is that because I am trying to run away from my own feelings of isolation and loneliness? Now, not to make it all about me, and I hope you can really identify with this because it's kind of a big deal. And honestly, I guess I really haven't figured out if that's what I'm even doing or not. Because truth be told, I have a very busy and active social life. And I love the fact that I'm always out doing something cool in my free time. But I read some things recently that kind of made me think about my situation and whether or not I'm just filling my time with all of these busy distractions as an escape instead of dealing with the discomfort and sometimes the pain that comes with being lonely. Now, in just a minute, I'm going to talk about why some people might run from these feelings, and some of it might be pretty eye-opening. But first, it's important for me to let you know that seeking professional help from a therapist can be an incredibly powerful way to cope with those feelings of loneliness and develop some of the necessary skills to manage those emotions. Today's sponsor, BetterHelp, is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% done online. So with BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with all sorts of things that you might be dealing with. To get started, it's easy. You just answer a few questions about your needs and your preferences. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. And what's amazing is that if your therapist isn't the right fit for whatever reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. And because they're sponsoring this video, they're giving all of you 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/fashion. That's betterhelp.com/fashion. There's also a link down below, or you can simply scan the QR code right here on the screen. Thank you, BetterHelp, for supporting my channel and for sponsoring today's video. Okay, so I've been down the rabbit hole on this topic, and I think it's important to understand why some people choose to run from their feelings of loneliness. And like I said, I'm still, questioning myself on this very topic. So if anything I'm about to say hits home for you, some of it's probably hitting home for me as well. And I want you to know that it's totally okay. All right, so I read that some people that are struggling with feelings of loneliness might believe that somehow they are to blame for their own situation. They might feel socially inadequate or even unlovable, and that leads to feelings of shame and self-doubt. So running from your feelings provides, a temporary escape from those negative thoughts, and then helps you avoid confronting your own sense of inadequacy, whether or not that inadequacy is even valid. Another big one is the fear of rejection. So maybe you feel that by reaching out to somebody might only result in further disappointment. And because of that, you might choose to just isolate yourself even further, believing that it's better to be alone than to risk being rejected and hurt. And let me just say for the record that it's okay to have all of these feelings. The key is having enough self-awareness to recognize what you're feeling and developing the right coping skills, because that's what's most important. Because look, here's the thing. Studies have shown that running from loneliness is linked to mental health problems, including depression, anxiety, and substance abuse. Studies also show that these people have difficulty forming close bonds with friends, which can again lead to social isolation and this feeling of disconnection. Not only that, but people who run from those feelings might also have physical health problems as well, because loneliness has been linked to all these physical health problems, including cardiovascular disease, chronic pain, and also sleep disturbances. And also feelings of loneliness are linked to unhealthy behaviors, like I just mentioned, substance abuse, overeating, laziness, and sedentary lifestyles. Now, having said all of that, am I running from feelings of loneliness, or am I just a super awesome guy with a busy social life and a lot going on? Personally, I would like to think the latter, but I also have enough self-awareness to at least allow myself to explore the possibility that I might be running from something. I'm not exactly sure at the moment, but I'm open to exploring any possibilities. All right, so here's a perfect example. So maybe I worked all day, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and now it's, say, Wednesday evening, and I'm feeling a little bit lonely and isolated. I don't want to feel that feeling, so I take myself out to dinner somewhere. So is that an escape or running from feelings of isolation, or is that just needing to get out of the damn house and just recharge my batteries? I'm not exactly sure, but I recognize it. And at least in my opinion, having that type of awareness is a good thing and can only help you down the line. Okay, here's one more comment from that video I want to read because I think it will hit home for a lot of you guys. This was helpful. I'm not so much lonely as I am bored and miss interaction with people. I'm an extrovert, so I derive energy from being around others. I'm a 51-year-old man, and my marriage dissolved at the onset of COVID in 2020. Not only did life change in an obvious way with the separation and the divorce, but because of COVID, all my work travel stopped, our office was closed, and I became a remote worker. This means I really don't see people very often anymore. I've certainly got hobbies, woodworking and video editing, but hobbies tend to be solitary, and I have no desire to do them right now because I know I'll just be moving by myself from the couch watching TV to moving to the workshop by myself to build something alone. I'm getting a little tired of keeping myself company. So as someone who also works from home, I totally understand this. And here's something else to recognize. Everybody feels lonely from time to time, and there's no shame in admitting that you're having those feelings. However, if that's something that you want to work on, start engaging in other activities that you enjoy, like any other hobbies, local events, or exercise. Make sure you get enough sleep and eat a healthy diet. Because doing things that are good for you helps build your self-esteem muscle and increases your self-worth. And that is a good muscle to keep healthy and strong. All right, I will be sure to keep you guys posted in future videos, so please subscribe if you're not already, because I would really love to have you guys here. And one more thing, if you made it this far, you are definitely one of the true legends. Thank you so much for watching. Live well, and I'll see you in the next one.